Hello and good time of day to all of you, my friends here on the Internet Chess Club. This is Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky, and welcome back, what every Russian schoolboy knows live. Yeah, the main thing for every Russian schoolboy now is to follow chess events that go one after another. And I spent a lot of time last month in January covering the YKZ tournament. I think I was up there 4 times with my live shows. Talking about that great event, well, indeed, Wesley So, Magnus Carlsen, alright, all that, That was fun, but somehow as the YKZ tournament was getting to the final stretch, a major open tournament, Swiss tournament, began in Gibraltar. The Gibraltar Open, in the past 3 years, became clearly the most visible Swiss tournament in the world. It's arguable if it's the strongest, because it depends how you look at this. If you think of the big names there, then of course Gibraltar, right? I mean, Caruana, Vasheva Graf, Nakamura, Topalov, of course. I mean, clearly, no, top players, Adams. But then again, in that tournament there are a lot of weaker players, and the tournament is quite large. So when we look at the final cross table, which I will show you, it's not really cross table, I'm wrong. The final standings, rather. Cross table is only can only be applied to round robin tournaments when you really go across. Player 1 against player 7. Here it's just final standings. Well, you notice that the winning score, 3 guys went 80%. No, some people with 7.5, and then a group of players with 7. So that's what it indicates to me, that there were quite a few players low rated, and they obviously occupy the bottom of the tournament table. I mean, I can risk kind of on scrolling down, if see. Okay, I'm at 150, and it says show complete list. Okay, let's see complete list. 255. Okay. By the way, I didn't realize that this player was there. She played 1 game, right? Olga Dolzhikova. You look at this. Women Grandmaster rated 2164. No, she's a story in herself. One day I'll make a show about the Dolzhikova family, but okay, now not in the mood, to talk about this now. Anyway, well. So here is what we have. Yeah. Final rankings after 10 rounds. Now, 3-way tie. But unlike in our American tournaments, well, the money is not shared. Nothing is shared. No. You go into tiebreak. And there is quite a bit of money at stake, because the placings are determined by results of tiebreak. I assume the first place. Well, now, they have with 3 people. This is how they did it. They look at the tiebreak there, and they gave Anton Guharo, was a pleasant, surprise, but hardly a revelation of this tournament. Anton Guharo has been known as a talented player. He's from Spain. Pretty dangerous player for open tournaments and all that, pretty good rapid and blitz player as well, already for some time. No, of course he had a great tournament and gained, as you can see, 27 rating points. So he was given a bye, like in the first round of the tiebreak, and then Nakamura played Yu Yan Yi. And then after Nakamura beat Yu Yan Yi, then Nakamura got to play Anton Guharo. So what I'm thinking about, guys, in this situation. Alright, so Nakamura takes first place, and the whole 9 yards there, $30,000 or whatever the first prize was. What about the second and third place? I mean, what? Do they share? Do they determine by tie breaks? What about the rest of the guys? I mean, it's a pardon me, it's like a Swiss tournament. There are gonna be ties everywhere. Are the ties broken, say, between 4th place and 9th place, according to tie breaks? I mean, 4th place will obviously command way more money than 9th place. And if you're in a 7-point group and with low tie breaks, you're probably gonna get nothing. Just, I mean, zero, zilch. I mean, I want to hear your opinion. Do you think that it's acceptable for a Swiss tournament to break ties and award prize money according to, outcome of the blitz? So that's first question. We had this situation years and years ago. The US Championship was held in Seattle. I think it may have been the first time they held it in Seattle. So it must have been the year 2000. New group of investors and benefactors, patrons came, was headed by this guy named Eric Anderson, and they put together prize fund, handsome prize fund for the US Championship. Always this talk of saving the US Championship. Basically, who do you save the US Championship from? From the very United States Chess Federation that's supposed to be running it. Well, at least that's what it is in their mission statement. No, yet. Okay. So these guys came to save the US Championship, and as it goes, of course, whoever puts up the money, well, orders the music. If I may use the old Russian proverb on this. What they did, there was a 3-way tie, just like in this tournament. But the 3-way tie came in a round-robin tournament of, I believe, 12 players. Those were Seyravan, Benjamin, and Shabalov. And then they said, you guys now play a blitz tournament. Not 15, not rapid, not half an hour, not 15 minutes. Blitz tournament. And since it was in ancient times, technically speaking, the year 2000, of course, is the 20th century. Well, next century doesn't begin until the year 2001. So in that past century that some of you guys, just have a very rough idea of, there were no increment and no delay. So you just play this killer blitz, like, I don't know, some kind of a dog-eat-dog blitz, a 5-minute. I mean, okay. And they played it for the whole thing, for whatever it was. Was it $12,000 or $15,000? I don't remember first prize. I mean, I can understand. Shabalov was extremely unhappy. He wanted just to, basically to quit and in protest. But then he thought if he makes a scene out of this, they might not even give him his third prize. So he decided to soldier on, so he came out, lost to both of these guys, who are much better blitz players, because, I mean, that's how it was. And I think Benjamin ended up beating Seyravan for the final. This is how it was. NCC 73. I like the system where the prize money is split evenly, playoff is for a bonus, and the title of champion. I agree with you 100%. Now, a lot of people, when they say, oh, bad organizing of chess tournaments, yeah, right, Bill Goldberg. But in this area, I gave Bill Goldberg thumbs up, because that's exactly how it works. At the World Open, for example. I've been in some ties at the World Open. Fine. Year 1996. I share first place, just the two of us, with Grandmaster Alexander Goldin. Goldberg says, you guys sit down and play. What do we play for? We play for 10%. It wasn't chump change, right? There was like 15,000 first prize, I think was. And second was 7.5. So the difference there becomes $750. And Goldberg said, always was stipulated that it's game in 10 minutes. So it's not straight up blitz. Alright, I was fortunate I was able to beat Goldin. Extra $750, but... Well, I don't think that Alexander was really that upset. I mean, when you... Okay, so what did we get? 15 plus 7, 20, about 11,000 each, right? And then out of this you give 750. I mean, or maybe it was 1,000. I don't know. Anyway, probably it was 1,000. I mean, it's kind of... I understand this. To me, well, when people sit there and play a long tournament over 10 days or whatever, and then everything has to be decided in this, it's absolutely no reason to do this. I agree with you. The championship title and some bonus money, it's totally fine. But play for the whole thing, I think it's too... No, first of all, it's brutal towards some players. You're tired, right? You just played your last round game. And it's also beneficial for some other players who know, and they know, everybody knows, they're simply better blitz players. Then again, am I gonna take this from Hikaru Nakamura? Of course not. Alright, let's see how Hikaru did it. So first he had to get by Yu Yanyi. And I thought, I mean, I really like Yu Yanyi. I just played a tournament in China, right? Yu Yanyi walked over all of us. He was like a tank. I think he scored 8 out of 9. 2 draws only he surrendered. Even beat Richard Rapport in the last round. Having already clinched that thing, he had 7 out of 8. Played everybody. He played Rapport, who had 5.5. Even if Rapport beat him, he would not have cut with Yuan. Yuan is so strong. And he played very well in this tournament as well. Now, these two guys, Nakamura and Yu, they have a bit of history. I think they met in maybe in the final of that Millionaire Open that Nakamura won to pocket $100,000 a couple years ago. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. It was... Okay, to be exact, it was in 2015, in the fall of 2015. And maybe it established some kind of a novel head-to-head thing, but I just had a feeling watching this tiebreak that Yu, well, was too respectful of Nakamura's chess, and which is no right. You have to be respectful. Nakamura is a great player, but you have to also believe in yourself. And I think that was little lacking, The first game of this mini-match, which was, I believe, game 15 with some increment, was a draw, where, I mean, you just simply traded all the pieces. With white? What are you hoping for? Okay, the match should have ended probably right here. This is the second game of the 15. Game 15, so that's the first stage. Now, Hikaru won a pawn. The problem is, of course, that black is defended the proper way, just how it's supposed to defend over rook endgames. There's an active rook over there that is, of course, on the b3 pawn, and all the same on the f2 pawn. Yeah, but... But then, white, of course, doesn't really want to trade one set of pawns on the queen side. It'll be easier to defend. Well, the move to me, that I really wanted Nakamura to play was not rook e3. That didn't do anything. It was the move king e4. I was really fascinated with this line. Beautiful pawn sacrifice. Active king. It's interesting here that black is little late with his own counterplay, because the rook on f5 is in the way of the f-pawn. White should just play this. King e6. Yeah, I play that because I don't want to play this move. There is this counter-attack against b3. That's not gonna do it, no. Maybe Hikaru thought, I don't know what he thought. He was ahead on the clock significantly. Maybe he thought, oh, I just have this advantage and let me go back and forth. But no. But the thing is, he gave Yuan the time to recover. This is what happened. We return to this. Now f5. Rook e3 turned out to be useless, because black's real defensive plan, as it often always happens in such positions, it's not to bring your king to the queen side. It's just to keep the king with the pawns on the other side of the board and wait for a chance to capture the pawn and create a real counterplay. The rook alone should be able to keep an eye on b3 and then get behind the c pawn when it comes to it. It's a classic approach to the rook endgame. And it held, I think it just held it for Yuan Yi. I got to this. I'll show you the rest of the game. There was another moment where Nakamura played very fast. Yu had less than a minute. He had to play on the increment, but he did a good job until a certain point. So he was oscillating between f1 and b1. But at some moment, he forgot that the white rook was actually active. And instead of keeping the rook on the b pawn, with rook b2, or even moving the king back, he played a very unfortunate move, rook f1. And Nakamura almost won the game. Rook d5 came. Remember, this is a championship game. This is the second game of the tiebreak match. Okay, well, he still have to go by Anton Guhara, but okay, it would be the end of the tournament for Yuan Yi. Mistake. You know, I love rook end games. Let's talk about this, eh? Was it So who beat you in the final of the recent Millionaire Open? See, So won it in 2014. Nakamura won it in 2015. Last year it was much smaller tournament. It was won by Dariusz Swiercz, the young grandmaster from Poland, who bested Gawain Jones, I believe, in the finals. But first prize was $30,000. I almost said only 30,000. No, I wouldn't mind, you know, because I mean I have to sit there and work all year probably, but that's all right. I enjoy what I do, no complaints. But the fact is, you know, that as far as when they had the big prize, really the big prize, $100,000, it was first won by Wesley So and then by Hikaru Nakamura the following year. So, rook endgames. Okay, white gained the tempo, right? He's on both pawns. Black is going to have to eliminate the b pawn. It's almost always hopeless to play against two connected passed pawns. But he needs to drive the white king away from the g4 square. In reply to rook takes f5, the black king absolutely has to come to g4. He absolutely has to come to g4. So the right move would be king f3. Then you give another check. Now, king e2. No, we and white is just on general grounds, because now two connected passed pawns. I cannot guarantee a white win here, but I believe white has pretty decent winning chances. If I were to play this position with white, I don't think I would have gone before, because it's always most important not to let the opponent's rook get behind a pawn, be it yours or opponent's. No, I go rook b8. No, there is no f4, obviously, because there's check. So they're probably gonna go rook h3. And maybe I'll play this. Now the c-pawn is gonna go ultra fast. You're gonna have to start giving checks on h5 and drive my king up to the 5th rank. Then you return to the 1st rank and try to get behind my pawns. I'm actually gonna gain time from all this. I believe white has great winning chances here. But for that, he had to see the difference. Okay, let's just suppose that black still goes... Oh, pardon me. I'll go back. Let's just suppose that black still goes after the b pawn. Similar thing happened in the game. Now white's gonna grab that one and that one. Now comes this. F pawn is under attack, f5. And now on this move, which threatens to win this pawn, white plays his king to d2. Difference? Okay, look at the game. He played this. The king was on f2. Check, king e2. And maybe to Nakamura's surprise, certainly to surprise some people who were watching this, came rook takes f5. Oh, believe me or not, that black is not only in the square of the c-pawn, he actually gets to put the king in front of the c-pawn, preventing the white king to, getting ahead of the c-pawn and winning the game. Doesn't matter, if you play this, it comes to e5. Well, no, not quite. Or as Hikaru played rook b5, then quietly this. King d3 and now capturing king e5. The pawn is too far, right? Had it been on before, we would go king c4, king d5. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. If he had the same position, with the king one step closer, he obviously didn't look at this because he didn't want to give up f4. But if he had the king one step closer, in this position white wins by playing king d2. Now you can have my pawn, be my guest. I get around on the other side. And the key move king b5, 1-0. This should have ended that match right there. So, okay guys, so tell me about this rook endgame. First of all, do you agree with Nakamura's decision to hold his horses and play rook e3, play quickly and stay ahead on the clock? I mean, if you think that, alright, my opponent had 15 minutes to get this far, now he has no time at all, so he's gonna continue playing bad moves and I'm gonna win without any risk. Maybe. But often happens when the opponent is pushed to the brink, or maybe walks himself to the brink, which is more correct description of how you play this game. And then at the last moment he kind of wakes up and suddenly starts playing the best moves. So do you think, is that practical for white to cut himself some slack? Or he had to sit there and use his 6 minutes against 1 and invest it into calculating of the move king e4? Your call. Tell me. No, I should stay active. It's easy to say that stay active when you feel like, okay, if I defend passively, I'm gonna lose anyway. But when you hold this advantage, it's like a bowl overfilled with water, right? And then if you start moving too fast and running toward your goal, you're gonna spill some of that water, some of that advantage. That's a tough call, but I would say this. I don't think Nakamura, with all the great things he knows about the game and his experience, I don't think, his understanding of rook endgames, it's quite where it needs to be. I think he just kind of tends to be a little too practical and little shallow in this, So he thinks, okay, something will come up. No, what works for him most of the time in online blitz and all that may not work in a critical game and over the board in particular, and it didn't work here. So once again, to the move king e4, this is remarkable, really. But I gotta show you something. You're gonna love it. So king b6, important preparation. For what? For the breakthrough. Forward. Now we have a classic case, right? We have here the c pawn going forward with the black king cut off. And more importantly, there is no attack from behind. That attack, with the absence of the b pawn, would have forced the white king to come in front of the c pawn. And then black begins to unroll his counterplay, and then, well, who knows? Often such endgames are drawn. But here the white king will hide behind the b pawn and will simply shepherd the c pawn home. So the black king, of course, is cut off. Black can try... Oh, I'm sorry. Black can try for a better version of this. I'm getting to this once again. By calculating his variations and playing the move rook d5. Well, Nakamura was playing quickly to rattle you, and you probably didn't need a whole lot of rattling, He really didn't play this tiebreak like he believed he could beat Nakamura. Well, he gave some effort in the last game after he lost the quicker game in the second set of games. First he lost with black and then tried to win with white. Managed to obtain some positional advantage, but hardly made any headway. Nakamura just headed straight to his fortress in a bishop endgame and held a draw. But I want to finish up with this. This is really amazing position. So look, you can't trade because the black pawn will also queen. So we play this move. And then black will play what? King d7, of course. Running back with the king to stop the c pawn. Now, shockingly, if you take the b pawn, you're never gonna win this game. Think. Check over there. You try to come out wide to checkmate him, he's gonna have this check. It's like the Philidor position. It's just keep checking the king until the king leaves the c pawn, abandons the c pawn. Amazingly, the white rook does need this range of movement to come to the a file. Otherwise, it's not enough. The best move is rook b1. Now, this is totally shocking. I mean, this is such a move. It's just unreal. Then there is this. And then white there is that. Threatening c7. It's one of the lines here. If he comes here, now you come from this side. He cannot stop it with rook d8 because of c7. And if he does this, then I believe white already wins. There are many similar variations like this. Because now he's gonna be ahead. He gains a tempo on the check. He's gonna queen. Now, this is so beautiful, this win in the rook endgame. I never get tired of rook endgames. Fantastic. Rook b3. And most shockingly so, rook b1. b3, c6 check. There. How am I gonna win, people? Did I mess it up? No, actually, in this situation, the king is not in front of the pawn. It's time to take. Yeah. Next is king b7. Yeah, I win. It's only if he goes there, then I'm gonna first play this, and then secondly, I'm gonna play that. Yeah, remarkable. Truly remarkable endgame there is. Alright, now, but some good words. What does Naka have? Does Naka have what it takes to challenge for classical world championship? You know, I thought about this, and I thought, why? Why do we need this? I mean, Hikaru gave in the past 7 years or so. Hikaru gave his best effort to become this classical player as much as he could. Alright, so he stopped playing Queen h5 on move 2. He tempered himself down, he learned to play some solid openings. And every year he goes on this tour, right? Grand chess tour. And some other tournaments. He's gonna be there at Zurich. Then he's gonna be with Grand Chess Tour at this and that. Maybe he'll be invited to Norway, I'm not sure, I don't know. And then St. Louis, and then London, and this and that. I mean, is he winning those tournaments? You know, honestly, if you look at Hikaru Nakamura's record in those elite tournaments, it's honestly somewhere around 50%. Now, it's not too shabby, right, considering the competition. But does he really shine over there? He's tough, he fights, tooth and nail, not to lose rating points, because he knows that's his lifeline. He has to be up there with his rating. I remember when he was out of it at the candidates with -2. He played so tough toward the end. He beat Anand and beat Topalov, got back to 50%, saved himself some 10 rating points. But it's not the real Hikaru Nakamura. To me, the real Nakamura is the guy who, at the end of some grueling long tournament, gets into this blitz, rapid tiebreak, beats you, confuses you, challenges you, flags you, beats you any way he can, Now, this is where it is. That's where he's at his best. Honestly, I don't want to see Nakamura sitting there and playing this 12 or whatever, 14, 16 game world championship match. It's not his cup of tea. I want Nakamura to do this. That's my answer to this. Yeah, he couldn't play that move King B8 because of C7. Okay, so this is one. I just played the wrong move. So this is finished already. Now that's the plan, how white wins. Sorry about that. One wrong move. Of course C7 here. Queens and wins and near checkmates. Sorry. In my opinion, chess, we're getting somewhere. This thing of universal rating makes a lot of sense. Probably there should be more tournaments, not only for the very elite, more rapid and blitz tournaments. And, the entertaining part of chess is just different. But it's almost like, if you can have some sort of specialty. Not every... we don't have those in track and field, right? The guys who can do equally well at a 100-meter dash, and in a 10K race. Obviously not. Specialization. Maybe it should be like this in chess as well. We should play on all open tournaments. Okay, fine. Let's create tournaments for Nakamura. You can't really expect him to show up, in, I don't know, wherever, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and play for $500 first prize, right? So, I don't know. I'm surprised in one thing, that over this long period of time, Hikaru's been one of the best players in the world already for more than 10 years. He never won a knockout tournament, like one of those, used to be called World Championships, now, of course, the World Cup. He played a couple, and he somehow cannot get over there to the very top, His skills in rapid and blitz chess are legendary, and his composure is great, but I don't know. I think if there wasn't for those invitational tournaments, well, Hikaru would have played even better in those World Cups, and maybe its trade-off is not good for him, Get some financial security, guaranteed money, but it's simply not his cup of tea. Those round-robin events with limited number of participants. I'm absolutely convinced of that. Although, having said that, Nakamura is good enough to come to this Grand Chess Tour this year, later this year, and win every stage. If he does that, I'll be surprised, maybe pleasantly surprised, but not really shocked. That's how good, in my opinion, Nakamura is. Alright, let's back up, some of this words, that I had. Let's do this. So, after this disappointment, right, he knew it, that he had it almost won, that rook endgame. He comes to play now a shorter time control. I believe it was 5 minutes with some seconds increment, maybe 5-2. Maybe it was 3-2, I'm not really sure. Against you. And it doesn't have much here, right? Position's about equal. And then off he goes. And you plays a good move. Look at that knight. Knight to c4. Yeah, but Nakamura will not be denied. If he needs to go with the bishop on c1, he will. What's white's advantage on the board? He doesn't have any. Yeah, the knights on c6 and f5 are active, but they're probably going to be driven back. Considering the presence of the dark square bishops on the board, you may say that the pawn structure on the queen side rather favors black. The advantage is what Nakamura has over his opponent. He plays fast, he believes in himself, and it's very difficult to play Nakamura without these treacherous thoughts, that seeds of doubt that keep creeping in your brain. Am I really doing so well? How come he's playing so quickly? Well, indeed, he's playing quickly. Gets ahead on the clock. It continues. Now, this is the first move, which I would like to, doubt a little bit and criticize. I mean, the knight was great positioned on c4. And while I understand that you wanted some simplifications, no, maybe he should have done something else. Maybe he should have moved that bishop back and whatever, try to come up with the king. I don't know. So he does this. One move away. Well, not quite. If you go knight d6 too soon, he's gonna take and the king runs through it. Takes the pawns. Yeah. So you plays king e6. Now check. Crunch time. How to defeat this? No, how to defend against this. You cannot defeat in this position, well, in the sense that black cannot win, but how to fight against this strategy? What do you do? Well, I've noticed from my experience that oftentimes you have to kind of a gamble, or maybe follow your intuition rather. Because I know you long time. He played knight d4 check. You don't know what he calculated in terms of this exchange, but you must calculate it. Even if you leave yourself then with 1 second on the clock, providing there is some kind of increment. Because what you're really looking at, you're looking at this. And you know you're going to play knight d6. And you know that if he doesn't take on d6, you'll come to c4 and you're going to be for sure okay. And you're going to be able to play your moves real quick and no losing time. But the risk is, are you sure you got the king and pawn endgame right? Because there was no other move. Here probably you shouldn't give your opponent too much credit. Well, Nakamura played his moves quickly. Not because he calculated this to a win. No, absolutely not. No. He figured it as a reasonable way of playing, otherwise equal position, that would present you with some choices. And he wants you to deal with this. So therefore you will spend time and, basically if you say, I'm not sure about it, I don't have to do this. Let me keep the position. That by keeping the position, you're only going to give them another chance and another to present you with choices like this when you get more and more tired and lower on time. Yeah, truth to tell, black survives here. I looked at everything. I looked at this. Check, king there, this. You can trade and you can play that, king d6. g5 saves the game. Of course it's easy for me. I sit there, in front of my computer, no pressure on me, nothing's at stake. What's the worst thing that could happen to me? So I'm wrong and I call it a draw when it's lost. Who's gonna notice? Some of my most astute listeners here would say, and then they will probably leave me a private message, which I read here on the Internet Chess Club, once a month, and yeah, okay. And oftentimes I guess, I get this, and they say, okay, Alex, thank you for your work, but you were wrong in this line, this, and that wins, and you said it was a draw. And I usually reply to them, I go, thank you, for good eye and all that, but no, that's how it is. You see, I have this kind of a notion, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I don't want to be over-prepared. I don't want to know everything. Because when I know everything, it's unfair. I'm prepared and you're not. And I speak from a position of intellectual superiority, when in reality it's nothing but a little bit of factual knowledge that I gleaned from somewhere. Either computer analysis, when it comes to chess positions, or some kind of a, internet Wikipedia, if you wish, when I talk about chess history. And I kind of I don't want to pretend, that I'm better than you. Well, I know what I know, but if I'm wrong about something, then it's fine. But all the same, I understand why you didn't do this. Because he thought, what if? And he had too little time to figure it out. Problem, of course, is that he went back and he gave White a chance for another round of this positional maneuvering. Look, he pushed the bishop back. Now, even if the white pawns are all on dark squares, they actually nicely restrict that bishop. And the black knight cannot activate. There's knight d4 check. He tried to do this from a8. No soap. No. doesn't get knight b6 and trade and king d5. Time is even shorter and the pressure comes from the other side. Well, realistically speaking, it's just truth to tell, this position is still a draw. Because chess is, as Tigran Petrosian famously said, chess position is a very durable structure. It takes a lot to bring it down. But it's not by position that the games are won. Well, what we have here, particularly in modern chess, it became more of a factor. It's basically a fight. You may even call it street fight. There is no fake gentleman. Okay, maybe it wasn't fake back then, but it's fake now. Like, okay, well, 2 against 1, rook endgame, you know, I'm a gentleman, I will not play this on, I offer you a draw. You know, like, now everything's played to the end. No, because if the organizers want it this way, if they want blood to flow freely on the chessboard, and they want the outcome of a 10-day-long tournament to be decided in one blitz game, when players are down to their last seconds, this is what they're gonna get. And I don't blame Nakamura for using all his chances. And the clock factor there, okay, well, it's part of the game, just like everything else. So those games are decided not by some sort of brilliance and brilliant recognition or something, or not even by a greater calculation. It's the games are decided now by a combination of factors, and factors that I mentioned. No, well, obviously, no, well, I don't want to go into false modesty, you know, like, I understand, but no, what I meant to say, I'm not the all-seeing and all-knowing, because you guys just pointed out that I missed this queen and the pawn in 2 moves. I'm totally fine with that. You know, this is where it is. You know, yeah, obviously, you know, I'm talking here, you guys are listening, I hope you are, and, no, but that was the point. So anyway, coming back to this. See, he tried, that didn't work. He returns with the knight. Now moves the bishop around. f5. Introduces another factor, so he fixes that pawn over there on h6. So he plays it against this knight. The knight cannot easily come into the game. Once again, back and forth, and now bishop c5. All these things, you know, tries this, repeats, comes back, tries something different. Always staying ahead of the opponent. Once again, you was having a hard time making decisions. Well, he wanted to calculate everything, and you're not always able to do this, particularly in rapid and blitz. Why didn't he play this move? This looks scary. Maybe it's not, because now you can switch over to attack that pawn. It's okay now to lose an a6. He took. Now it actually doesn't lose, but well, I'm not happy with this decision, because night endgames are known to be tricky, and when you're low on time and tired, as you for sure was. And in this position, he finished his tournament by not playing the obvious move knight g8. Believe me or not, after all this defense, he still had a draw if he went knight g8. I realized, by looking at this, that if white gets around... Oh, I'm so sorry. Hang on a second. King g4. King d5. King h5. I realized when the white king gets around, like you do in king and pawn endgames, there comes the check. And black takes the pawn on f5. It doesn't work for white. All the same, even if the knights are tied down, I mean the black knight for sure is tied down, white cannot win this battle of the kings, because there is not enough area to penetrate, so black will hold his king in defensive position. And there is no zugzwang, there is no opposition, there is nothing. The black king just shuffles back and forth. It's amazing, you know, how often I see this. People, a guy just takes this, okay, I'm just gonna defend the best way I can, and defends, and avoids many pitfalls, and, well, maybe some decisions can be questioned, but he still has a draw. At the very end, when it's that close, and you need to play one more move, that's when it falters. Once I lost the US Championship like this, I was half a point ahead of Nick DeFermi, it was 2001, I believe. And Nick had white against me, and Larry Christensen was in contention. So, as the game was going on, I got in a bit of trouble in my Caracan with black. And I thought, if I make a draw, you know, I get to play Larry for the... But then, you know, I don't even remember if the money would be shared. It was the following year after that Shabalov episode. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't think much of that, but I mean, I just wanted to save this game, right? And I almost did it. And when I had a draw, well, it was rook and piece each and one pawn each. Believe me or not, I blundered and checkmate in one move. It's hard to believe, right? Well, so Nick ended up playing Larry for the US Championship, which is, of course, they're great friends of mine, and everything's fine. But I really thought I played a real good tournament, and this one still hurts. It felt like, you know, well, I missed a chance to win another US Championship, and I never got another one. I played some US Championships after that, but nowhere near top places. Look what he did, King D5. Maybe he had a hallucination. I want to make this draw now. I'm gonna give up my knight for this pawn, and I'm gonna grab his pawns because he's too far away. Oh, just try this. It's one of those positions, right? The pawns are blocking each other, so the black king cannot come through and push the white knight away. To b5, the square is occupied. Otherwise, if you have to go around like this, no, it's not gonna get you anywhere, right? Even if the white king, you know, was far, far away, by the time you come to b6, he goes knight c5, and you have another choice but start going around again, spending 4 moves on every time he spends 1. It's totally lost. Poor you. Okay, he played knight f7, it didn't matter, same position. Had to resign here, white simply wins the knight, wins the game. Here it is. The story of Hikaru Nakamura continues, and I would like to finish it because there is another important subject pertaining to this tournament, but, well, I want to leave it for the last part of the show. Our show, by the way, goes officially 90 minutes. And those of you who think, oh, it's about to end anyway. No, well, it's not. We still have 36 minutes to go. Okay, more comments here. Do you agree with my analysis how Nakamura wins those? It seems like he always wins those critical games. It's a skill in itself, you know. Okay, fine. It was not appreciated. It was underappreciated. The skills were either Kasparov's great preparation and ability to attack, or Karpov's greatest positional understanding, or Fischer's whatever Fischer had. But now it's a practical skill. In some ways, Carlsen is like that. So the great champions of today, well, Carlsen is even more amazing because he's able to apply this thing to classical chess, which Nakamura cannot to full extent. But when it comes to rapid and blitz, you know, that's where That's how Hikaru is. Alright, so he's facing this kid. Anton Guajiro. Once again, the first game was a draw. Actually, I give credit to the Spaniard. He tried with white. He didn't get too far, but he certainly gave it more effort than Yan Yi did in game 1. And now he's black, but no, well, they have time, because it's still not blitzes, it's rapid. But I think it was 15 minutes, I may be wrong. By the way, if maybe Nakamura would have done well in Tata Steel with larger field of players. It is possible, yeah, but I think he won it once, some years ago. And he had some decent results, but no, well, even that, I think it's not exactly what he needs. Somehow I believe, despite the lack of kind of factual proof of that if they got in YKZ to play like 16 players, elimination thing, that whatever it is, well, then Nakamura would be, along with Carlson, obviously, well, would be my favorite. I don't really know why. I think that's gonna end, at some moment. I don't really know why Hikaru never won this World Cup yet. He probably should. Anyway, so we come to this, and look at Hikaru now. He's not forcing the issue. He plays this line. Now, I mean, he makes important decisions quickly. It's not like he had full day to prepare for this. He had other concerns. He had to beat Edouard, who's a pretty strong French grandmaster with black. And he won a brilliant game. I probably should have shown it to you, but I figured, no, I'll just stick to the tiebreak. Yeah, and then he had to get by Yan Yi and now plays this, but well, his experience, and Nakamura can play anything. He proudly says, I have no style, I can play any position. No, maybe it's true. At least for sure he can play any opening. And he hits on this one, and he wants to obtain this position with some space advantage. He goes for this line. I played this line many times myself. As white. Sometimes as black as well. I mean, obviously black can play d5 and it's a different story, but I'm sure Hikaru would be okay with that. Now comes this, d6. I don't like this move. Well, Nakamura already faced it early in the tournament. He played this guy Utirizaga. Is Utirizaga Peruvian player? I think he's from Peru. And Hikaru played d5. Knight takes d2 was played. Now he took with the knight. And he played b4. You think about it, like it's King's Indian structure, and white is parted with so important dark square bishop. But he got a few things for that. First of all, it's time. Well, he really developed all his pieces and is about to get things going on the queen side if he can. B. Safety for the king. Well, he controls e4 square with the pieces, so even if black manages to prepare his f5, white can sit there, and let him take on f5. Thirdly, the bishop on b7. Nobody fianchettos the white square bishop on the black side of King's Indian, right? So some extra time. And Utirizaga played this, and then Hikaru just kept this position for long time. The black knight was on a6. So black basically tried to defend against c5. And eventually he got outplayed and Hikaru won a very nice game. Here's what I'm thinking. This is fine. But yeah, but black probably has to play g6 and bishop g7 and keep the knight on d7. Just like it happens in this... happened in that game. Wesley So had white against 3-head Rapport. Wesley won that game, but Rapport played a brilliant game until he faltered in the end. It should have been a black win. I think when black plays more in a King's Indian style for counter-attack, like Rapport did, gives him better chances. But how to get there? You get there through proper move order. You take on d2 right away. Now, white is unable to take with the knight because of the pawn. Then you do this. That's a different story. Because the white knight doesn't come to b3 to support this whole thing. So white plays this, and now it's time to play the standard move. a5. Okay, this is how it went, right? There. King g2, bishop c8. That's So Rapport. So some inaccuracy, in my opinion. And now he took on c3. Now this position's been known for a long time as always better for white, right? You say, why is that? Isn't that black traded a dark square bishop, the bad bishop? Isn't that good that black traded a pair of knights, so he's not cramped that much? Well, the thing is, when you play this pawn structure, it's not about... it's not about holding your position and equalizing. For that, you can play your queen's gambit. No, it's about counterplay. It's about some slowly building, but offensive against the white king. For that, black needs pieces. And the pieces, that's exactly what's absent from this position. So what it boils down to is just defending a somewhat cramped position against the opponent who has a free hand, everywhere on the board. Now, I know you probably didn't bother, but suppose, you really become my fan club, and you go somewhere to the source and find, 3,000 or 3,500 tournament games that I played. By the way, not that many is available, but, well, some of them didn't make it into databases, but anyway, you'll find 2,500 or so. And you say, oh, well, Russian schoolboy, you preaching something that you don't believe in. Well, you play these Bogova structures all the time as black. Yeah, I did. But the matchups were different. I wanted a closed pawn structure because I wanted long games. I played all these open tournaments in the United States, believing that if I can get the game goal for 70 moves, I will win. The outcome? No, I won a lot of tournaments. No, burned out maybe a little sooner than I would have otherwise. But I did what I did. But I didn't do this because I thought this would be a good choice against a superior player. On a few occasions when I did it, I didn't do very well on the black side of such structures. I would rather go into a Greenfield against somebody, stronger than me. Maybe looking for some tactical chance or whatever, but it's not a good game plan, to play this kind of position when your opponent is, objectively speaking, a stronger player. But you say it's no big deal because, he likes these structures and he plays them all the time. Maybe. Okay, get to this. f6. Well, I don't know if f6 really was needed, but clearly Nakamura was not blundering this pawn on account of knight e5. Discovered attack on the queen, and if you go here, bishop h3 finishes it off. Kaidanov? Yeah, Greg, no, I would actually say that Greg had a fantastic opening year of his campaign some many years ago when he won every tournament, every open tournament. That year he won the World Open, the National Open, and you name it. It was back in 92. Well, then I guess I took that up, and then Shabalov eventually come to replace me as the best player in open tournaments. And Shabalov was younger. He is younger, He's still a force. He won the U.S. Open again and is going to be playing the U.S. Championship, even if he's going to turn 50 this year. With Greg remained a very strong player, but I think his best year was his first year, of being an open, this weekend tournament warrior. Yeah, but thanks for remembering. So anyway, here I'm thinking, just black played this, put the knight on c5. Something here I don't understand. When I played these positions, I didn't want to stop. I wanted to go all the way and trade my bishop for the knight. I assume Nakamura would have moved the knight back. Okay, then I can move my bishop back. I don't think that played it the most accurately. Now, and in search for counterplay, Anton, I should probably call him by first name, right? His first name is David, yeah. So he turned to b5. Well, the move b5 that he played, I mean, it's opening up something to some play on the queen side. Leaves that c7 pawn. Permanent weakness, but Nakamura pushes him back. Knight c4. Another moment where I believe that black didn't play it right. See, white already made a commitment to the queen side. He played before and opened it up. Now he has some territory to protect over there. From that point of view, I don't believe that white can concentrate in the center, or let alone the king side. I would have done this now and go here. Have a little bit more counterplay, make white's position a little looser. After this, came f5. So we have a bind on the... Nakamura conducts the game. For rapid game, it's just fantastic quality. He keeps everything under control. The knight effectively stops the activity of the black rooks. No rook b7 and probably no rook b8 either. Now, Anton Guharo is playing the right idea. He needs to activate his pieces. And the only chance is to open up the king side. Actually, I thought that this was pretty strong. I looked at this line. Yeah, but check. And that. So black is actually having a hard time winning that pawn on h5. If he does this, I can also go h6. This knight is so bad. I think white's near winning here. But anyway, well, to the final moment of this game. Alright, white's better here, but at this moment, once again, the situation on the clock. Look, in some ways, Nakamura uses the same strategy. He's not really going after black. He bides his time, you know, well, by playing quickly, by the way. So he's ahead on the clock, way ahead on the clock, keeping his options open. And then, more often than not, opponents just simply crack under this relentless pressure. I mean, black clearly had to keep that bishop. Try to play knight g5 next, maybe some attack against e4. This captures just loses the game. Now, the knight can never come to g5, this one's hanging. Look how quickly white switches from one side of the board to another. Nimzovich famously said that the real advantage of a position with more space is that you have better communication lines and you go much quicker from one side of the board than the opponent. How about this rook? Not quite. Nice shot on both h3 and keeping an eye on that rook. The game is won already. Rook h3. No need to go fancy with the sacrifice. He did it now. You can tell that in the end of the game the young Spaniard simply had no time. Down a piece and triumph for Hikaru Nakamura. Congratulations, 3 years in a row. We're talking about arguably the strongest Swiss tournament. Winning 3 times in a row. Isn't that something? I think that removes last trace of doubt, you know, of Nakamura's ability. Now, there are some tournaments. There's this Qatar Open or some other stuff they played in the Aeroflot Open. But I mean, to me, the case is closed there. Nakamura. Hikaru Nakamura. The Open Tournament World Champion. Okay, I'm entitled to my opinion, am I not? And now, as we are, well, reaching the last 15 or 20 minutes of our show, question to you guys. Have you checked what happened with who you fan today? And the whole story about the female women world champion who you fan. Best female player currently is Judith, of course, retired. So, Fred Nakamura. Right. I'm a bit dyslexic. Sometimes I say things that I don't mean to say. You know, well, I wasn't like this. In most cases, they believe, you know, that if a person yeah. So give me your take, you know, type more. Well, I finish my thing about how I want to apologize for sometimes not making a lot of sense, because sometimes I really don't mean to say what I say, and it's not because of lack of practice. I just actually talk for a living, right? Maybe I talk too much, and it's just getting to be sometimes it's just too much, you know. So okay, sorry. She was protesting because she had to play 7 women out of 10 rounds. Don't computers make the pairings? Yes, computers do make pairings. Now, I have directed a few hundred tournaments. I understand a lower level, but directing is directing, right? So I know how pairing software works. That Swiss Sys and WinTD, you know, and the various variants of this. Ah, we're not talking about Fred. Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry. So what I'm thinking, women. No, perfect pairings. First of all, let's separate this issue. Now, when I direct tournaments, I know that, well, I'm not supposed to tinker with the pairings. Now, as computer does it, no, a computer has set parameters of making those point groups and looking at the players in the point group. You know, they play each other and they split in half by rating, and suppose you have 10 players in a group of same points, number 1 should play number 6, number 2 number 7, and so on. Unless they already played each other, or you get big discrepancy with colors. Well, I mean, obviously 3 whites or 3 blacks in a row is not acceptable, yada, yada, yada. No. Fine. Computer does it, and when do you tinker with the pairings? The best answer is never, ever tinker with the pairings. As I open up my new tournament and my Swiss says, before I make pairings for round 1, the computer asks me, avoid pairing players from the same team in round 1. Now, same team. No, well, it's usually I have scholastic tournaments, right? People who go to same school. Often there are brothers. But only in round 1. Because it's round 1. In round 2, it's already not an option. I lost count how many times a parent comes to me and says, my kids are playing each other, you know, like they could play each other at home. We came here to pay entry fee, you know, not for our kids to play each other. What do I tell to this parent? What do I tell this parent? No, I may wrap it in nicer words, you know, depending how big this guy is or whatever. Basically, I tell him to get lost. You know, I will not interfere with computer pairings. You know, if that's how it's done, this is how it's done. Anybody who comes to a tournament, a chess tournament, knows husband and wife often gets paired against each other. There's nothing to be done about this. I cannot play this guy, we're best friends. Who are you telling this? Now, what happens when a tournament director allows himself to be coerced, you know, always with best intentions in mind? Oh, I've been present at this, you know, more than one occasion. It's already midnight, right? And the tournament director is under pressure to make these pairings, you know, to be posted before everybody goes to sleep for tomorrow's round. I'm not talking some World Open, whatever. I'm talking smaller tournament, but for title seekers. People look at turn. Sorry. Hello? Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The audio was... I must have pressed on something. Anyway, so I tell this... Went at 7:19. Okay, that must have been a minute ago. Okay, now it should be back. It should be back now, I can see it. Sorry, I stopped paying attention to this. Anyway, so the story goes. So, and then the young and inexperienced tournament director bends over backwards to accommodate all these title seekers. You know what the outcome of this often is? The entire tournaments get thrown out. When finally, you know, everything's said and done and the tournament is completed and it's sent to FIDE, well, and it goes to there, you know, along with title applications to the ratings and norms and titles committee, you know, like, and these guys, they look at this and they run it through a pairing program and they say the pairings have been tinkered with. It happens so many times. And the whole tournament gets thrown out. Now, let's now talk about what happened in this Gibraltar tournament. Seriously. How likely is that Who You Find got to play 7 women out of 9 games? Wanna see me versus Rona? I don't know. Neither Rona nor I, really play online, I mean, my skills are online, they never really developed, and I never play online. Maybe it would be better if Ronan and I got together at some place, and just, got a 6-pack of beer, each and sat down and play some Blitz. And we could stream this whole thing, but you guys would see the real chessboard and all that. Maybe hear our comments. That would be the best. Yeah. Anyways, so what I'm thinking here. Now, did it happen by accident? There are some other strange pairings in this tournament. The computer that they used there had some strange proclivity for pairing people from same federation with one another. Alright. Nakamura is in the leading point group, and he's certainly not the lowest rated player there. Yet, he's the one who dropped down to the lower point group to face his teammate Fabiana Caruana. That did not help Hikaru. That was his last white. That was pretty much used on Caruana. Why? No pairing software in the world that I know would do this. They had options. In the smaller tournaments with, 40 participants, you have people already who played each other many times, and they have the covers issues. The strange things may happen. A tournament of 260 players for 10 rounds, you're never gonna go through any of this. You pretty much, maybe number 1 cannot play number 6 in a 10-player group. Number 1 will play number 7. There is no way number 1 is gonna drop out of that point group and play the guy from the next point group. It just doesn't work like this. Now, Adams plays short. What's that for? Topalov plays Cheparinov. Just all the time, players from same federation, they were paired with each other. Now, with women, it was even more ridiculous. And it's almost like, if you play Anna Muzachuk, the next round you're gonna play Maria Muzachuk. It happened with Hu Yufan, and then it happened to Mongolian female player, Bachimek Tavshentongs. She goes through the same thing, Maria, then Anna. What is this? I almost guarantee, without bothering to run through this thing with my software, is that what really it was, is a couple of guys sitting there, this, and just having fun. Maybe with drinks in their hands. Hey, let's do pairings. Let's see Bulgarian championship tomorrow. I don't think they had any stake in this thing. I don't think they tried to help anybody or screw anybody in particular. But what they did was wrong. And this tournament, the way the pairings were done in this tournament consistently, should never be accepted by Chess Federation. And the arbiters there, to me, they would be under serious suspicion, If anybody would pay me for this, pay me a couple $100. I'll spend an evening, and I will check all the pairings in this tournament. But I can almost guarantee, that the pairings were constantly not tinkered with, simply made up. Now, for what reason? Just for the giggles. That's my opinion. Now, they say, isn't tournament director have control over pairings? The answer is no, and no. No, only pairing software has control over pairings. Not tournament director. Doesn't work like this. Now, Hu Yufan had an issue with this. She complained. Now, Why do this to her? No, it's no secret that Hu Yufan's chess career went through this, I don't know, repetition, same pattern. So the pattern goes like this. She's the world champion, right? Women's world champion. She played once in this knockout tournament, got eliminated. Yeah, maybe more than once. Then, fine, okay, somebody wins it. And then they get to play her. But by the way, whoever wins it becomes a world champion. Okay, fine. And then you say, okay, you former world champion, who you find, you can fight for your title back. And then she goes there and plays a match and usually beats this world champion slash pretender by comfortable margin, like he beat Anna Yushenina and how she beat Maria Muzachuk the last time. And it just got old, and she said, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Friedman and wife played in the last round. Yeah, Friedman and Anna Zatonsky. Well, the female price, $15,000. You're right, there's a lot to play for. But I'm talking about who you find in general. Okay, I understand. Maybe it was a bit too much pressure on her because simply by her talent, no, she's not quite Judith Polgar, right? They made a lot of noise over her eclipsing Polgar's best rating, but I mean, with rating inflation, I mean, she probably understands what it is. Her position in the chess world and what Judith was. Judith was top 20 player in the world for 10 years. I always give people one piece of chess stats when they start asking how good Judith Polgar really was, if she lost 8 times to Kramnik and 7 times to Kasparov. I tell you, yeah, right, it's Kramnik and Kasparov. Do you know that she beat Vasilin Topalov 14 times? If you combine all kinds of chess, rapid, blitz, and classical. You know who Vasilin Topalov is. When 14 times you force this opponent to stop the clock and resign, well, that tells a lot about your chess strength. Pardon me, I cannot recall one game that Hu Yufan won against a player from current top 10 in the world. Maybe you can prove me wrong, because, as I said, I'm not really that good with facts. But we will see. Annals of chess. Okay, the N is missing. Yeah. Would go down in the annals. Yeah. Look, I understand all this, but I mean, look, so finally she says, enough is enough. I don't want to play Women's World Championship anymore. I don't know what she wants. It's like little as I know about the inner workings of the Chinese Chess Federation, although I know a little better after I just went there and I spoke with some people. This is how it works there. Basically, a bunch of bureaucrats, they have to report every year. Our girl, now insert name, won World Championship. All right, you guys doing a good job, here's your Christmas bonus, whatnot. Now, if Hu Yufan is not interested in winning those World Championships for her, they have no interest in her. That's how it is, simply. Now, she can do anything she wants. I heard there is a shortage of brides over there. She can get married for sure, Would have a nice choice of suitors over there. She can go to university and, whatever, anything she wants. But the point is, that if she makes a decision not to play for World Championship, she's basically putting the end to her chess career. Because she's obviously, she's yesterday's news kinda in those invitational tournaments. They're not gonna invite her to play anywhere. She had her chances and she couldn't win a single game most of the time. She would fight the best way she can, and then toward the end of the tournament she would get tired and start losing games. Now, Maybe the organizers of this tournament decided to send her a message. Maybe she said, yeah, you say you don't want to play women. Here we go, you're going to play a woman every day. Were they right? No, they were wrong, because they cannot tinker with the pairings. Was she right by protesting? I guess. Was she right with her form of protest? Twice being 20 minutes plus late for the game, and then going through the travesty, with G4 and F3? What I think of this is she didn't do herself any favors. Now, some years down the road, nobody would remember what she was and what she did. Yeah, well, was female world champion. Was she before Zhu Chen or after? Or was this girl or whatever after her? And, well, they're all Chinese anyway. You know how it is. And say, hey, wait a minute. I found the game of this so-called women world champion, and she played G4, D5, F3. She almost got mated on move 2. She almost fell into fool's mate. If that's the legacy she chose to be left with, very poor choice. Next question, how to protest? Okay, they're not listening to you. You go there and talk to them, they're either too drunk, or hanging over, I don't know. My personal opinion, I'm not making any friends here. My personal opinion, is there is something going on there in that tournament. I always felt it. They're the same who you find. Let me tell you a story about why she shouldn't complain too much when she's in Gibraltar. Some 3 years ago, was it, or 2 years ago? Yeah, let's go more deeper into the annals. So she plays this tournament, Gibraltar, right? She had a fantastic tournament. I believe she finished overall 3rd or 4th. There was a chunk of money over there. Plus the women's prize, another 15 grand. For the first time in history of open tournaments, she got 2 prizes. I'm not kidding you. She got both. First women's prize and 3rd overall prize. She ended up making more money than the winner of this tournament. I think it was 2 years ago. How about that? The tournament, with all the fun and the monkeys and all that, it's been a mess, basically. Yeah, fun event, they're over there, and then I look at these pictures, the chief guy over there, that guy with long hair, and a balding head, that looks like a clown, a clown he is. His name is Stuart Conquest. Well, that's actually quite a fun guy. I can see this guy easily with the glass of scotch in his hand, making those pairings for Bulgarian championship, English championship, world women's championship, and all that. Okay, this is just my opinion, of what's going on over there. I know people like it because fine, you go there, it's a fun event, and it's probably a lot of money and great conditions for top players. But I don't know. To me, I think, there is, if you take this tournament seriously, there is a little bit too much of where is goofiness going on. It's disrespectful toward the game. And now they say, FIDE should look at this and, not to take rating points from her. What about this guy, Lalif Babu? What's his fault? He showed up for the game, wanted to play a tough game. He's a guy from India, he wants to cross the 2600 rating. He's improving or whatever. He's like 2590. He did his best, showing up for the game, answered G4 with D5. Why take this rating points away from him? Conquest is I understand he's a fun guy, but Like they did, when with the prize money then, just a little bit too much leeway, to do things. Obviously, when nobody is watching, when instead of a governing body of chess, we have a bunch of crooks, over there, just basically looking out for their own best interest. Makropoulos, Asmai and whatever. I'm referring to FIDE. Look at this FIDE guys, people. I mean, you know what date is it today? Today is February 2nd, right? You want to look at FIDE calendar? Well, go there, and check the calendar of events. Next cycle for the World Championship. First Grand Prix tournament of FIDE should start on the 16th. Is that 2 weeks from now? In United Arab Emirates, we don't have a players list. Suppose if I were a player, suppose my name now is whatever. What's my name? Who am I? Maxim Vashieva-Graf. Okay, I want to compete for World Championship. Okay, I had my chance. I was up there in the rating. Now I'm no longer there. I'm not going to get there as one of the top 2 guys. It's going to be So and Caruana. Or maybe Kramnik. What do I do now? I want to play in this, right? I sent them my contract back long time ago. What am I doing now? Am I preparing for the tournament? What's the field of players? Who am I playing? Should I buy a ticket? Is there any guarantee the tournament will even start on the 16th? There is no official website. There is nothing there. People ask me, Alex, are you going to have any kind of highlight shows from the Grand Prix tournament? And I go, what Grand Prix tournament? Where is the info? I don't know. Well, personally, I don't think that FIDE's interference in this matter is gonna help at all. But knowing, as I said, as little as I know about the Chinese people and their culture, this thing is basically the end of Hu Yufan's chess career in China. Well, these people are very much into saving face, and they don't want this to be laid at their feet, look at your best player, your world champion, how she acts out, at the international tournament. And those things, I don't know, I don't think they're going to publicly shame her or whatever, but what she did, she'll come to regret her actions. That's my opinion. Yeah, we don't even know if it will actually take place. So, you want to buy your ticket and, pardon me, piece away, well, I don't know, whatever, $1,500. I mean, what is this, How can you even make plans being a chess player now? I mean, I may be very low on the totem pole, but I kind of have an idea what I'm going to be doing 2 weeks from now. I mean, it's fun, it's spirit of adventure, but no, well, when you have your responsibilities and playing for World Championship, it's a big responsibility. That's what we're talking about. Isn't Kramnik out? No, the St. Louis Chess Club seems to try to supplant FIDE. No, if the idea is that, well, they get to choose who plays in their tournaments, and then this person is going to challenge Magnus Carlsen. No, there are quite a few people who should agree to this. Well, first of all, Magnus Carlsen himself. Secondly, no, if FIDE is a governing body over there, well, they may not like, ceding this power precisely to people most of the world is very suspicious of. Right? It's an American-based business, American money. No, well, like it or not, it's the fact, that, I mean, most people, most countries in the world, would not be happy, let the United States of America will run any kind of international organizations. The track record is there, and unfortunately, I'm sorry to say this. St. Louis, no, well, look what they did, Well, they pick and choose their own players the way they want. Now they have what? 4 wild cards into their tournaments. I mean, isn't that a little bit too much of personal control? Not even one person. I don't think that they're gonna supplant, this. They may run their own events, but as far as World Championship, besides, well, even for them, the resources are limited. It's one thing to run a series of tournaments with altogether budget maybe of $1 million, and another thing is to deal with just World Championship match, way more expensive. Yeah, well, this game, yeah, you saw that. Anyways, guys, so, well, we kind of moved over and started talking about this FIDE Grand Prix. I tell you what, okay? I wanted to meet in 2 weeks, on the 16th. I believe, actually, the tournament is supposed to start on the 18th. Now, let's meet here on the 16th, exactly 2 weeks from now. And either it's going to be a preview of the Grand Prix tournaments, where we'll know all the players and we will lay it all out. We'll know who plays and we start looking at the next World Championship thing. Supposedly there's going to be candidates tournament. Karyakin is there already, and so and Caruana maybe, and yada yada yada. We'll talk about this. Or if FIDE keeps it quiet and no announcements, then we'll officially bury them here. Right here in this high, forum. We're just gonna officially declare FIDE dead. Okay? Alright, guys, let's come back in 2 weeks and let's do this. Take care, guys. Bye.